Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And great to see everyone that has joined. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to talk about the influencer marketing strategies that will capture millennials' attention. My name is Therese Little. I lead sales at Tracker, and my sincere hope is that you leave this workshop feeling really inspired for 2024. We're going to get into things with our lovely panelists, who you can see here. For anyone who doesn't know, and I really hope you do because you're here today, but Tracker is the #1 influencer marketing software for data-driven marketers. Our platform provides everything that you need to manage influencer marketing campaigns, from influencer discovery, campaign management, program measurement, and market benchmarking. We're really proud and lucky to work with some of the best brands in the world, including L'Oreal, Coty, Samsung, Diageo, Pandora, and of course, ILIA Beauty. If you want to learn more about Tracker at any point, you can click the Schedule a Demo button at the top of your screen, and you can book a demo with me at a later date. Speaking of ILIA Beauty, something very exciting today. We're going to have a raffle for you all to enter, where you can win over $100 worth of ILIA products. In very sad news, I am not allowed to enter the raffle. I know you all feel really bad for me, but if you stick around to the end of the event, you'll get a QR code where you can enter, and it will be worth it. And now I am thrilled, privileged, honored, all of the words, to be joined today by ILIA's influencer and partnerships manager, Samantha Hofherr, and beauty and wellness creator, Tennille Jenkins. Samantha and Tennille, would you like to share a little bit more about yourselves? Maybe we can go. I don't know who wants to go first. You want to go first, Samantha?
I can jump in first. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, Tracker, again, for having me be a part of this on my end. I'm so honored. I have been in the beauty industry for about 6 years now, and specifically 5 of those years specifically in the influencer marketing space. So I have worked at ILIA, as you all know now, Youth to the People, and Sephora. And throughout that time, I've had the really lovely privilege of working very closely with Tennille here. I would say one string you'll kind of hear throughout this conversation is authenticity, and relationships is key. And our relationship is a true testament to that. Tennille and me have partnered together on multiple brands in multiple ways. And every time I see her in person, it's just an amazing experience. So very lucky to have her with me today. And I'll her.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've been a content creator for about 6 years now, but doing it full time for a little over 2 years. And I wanted to come into the social media arena because I wanted to see someone who looked like me. I wanted to represent women in their 40s, Black women, just, through wellness, lifestyle, all the things that are like important to me. And partnering with brands and building relationships is so integral to who I am. I'm big on community. And so ILIA, for example, is like a brand that I organically love, use. Every single day I'm going to use an ILIA product. And so it's just an honor to be here and share my point of view on things and what it's like from my perspective creating content.
Thank you so much. I was watching a video of yours yesterday, Tennille, with your minimalist makeup routine where you your product, and I was just like, gosh, I wish I could look even half that gorgeous with a minimal face. It's truly incredible.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm really excited to have Samantha and Tennille here for so many reasons. But the main one is that they will really be able to bring to life a report that we recently published, some research that we conducted. We launched our 2024 impact report, I think 2 weeks ago. And in this report, we surveyed 1,000 millennial and Gen Z consumers about their social media usage, purchase behavior, and perceived impact from influencers. We asked them questions like, what social platforms do you consume influencer content on? What platforms are you most likely to purchase products from? And what factors play into your purchase decisions? And the goal in our report was to hear directly from consumers about how they interact with social media, content, and influencers. So people like you, practitioners, can have some data to base your strategies on. And the report does cover both Gen Z and millennial consumers, but this particular conversation webinar is focused on millennial data. We're going to have another webinar focused on Gen Z data in early December on December 5th, but we'll get to that later. So now let's get into some of that data. So the first question that we're thinking about, which platforms should you be focusing your influencer marketing efforts on? Our report actually found that millennials stated that Facebook was their most used social media platform for posting content, for consuming influencer content, and for buying products. And YouTube was actually the #1 platform for product research. And I'm chuckling because we were just talking about this backstage. It's a lot of on YouTube. This was interesting to me. It sort of surprised me that the data came back like this. And I'm curious, Samantha, with this idea that millennial consumers are using different platforms for different purposes, how are you building your influencer and content strategy to really account for that? Are you thinking about segmenting your strategy against platforms?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think on top of that, we're also, the overall message you have to think about is consumers, whether they're millennials or Gen Z, the platforms that they're on is a direct correlation to their purchasing habits and how they consume media. So you kind of have to meet them via influencers or via your campaign strategy halfway to make that relationship really authentic. So we're thinking about top of the funnel to lower funnel on all different platforms, how we're reaching those audiences, and whether that's spreading brand awareness, the goal is to drive a sale, et cetera. Those strategies tier out within that. At ILIA, we kind of say that the brand as a whole is designated for the millennial, her mom, and her daughter. And you also have to think about how those three different consumer graphics then affect each other when it comes to consuming media and making a purchasing decision. So I overall kind of like to think of the who, where, why, and then the how. So the who, when we think about a strategy, is the who we're trying to reach. Again, an ILIA, millennial, her mom, her daughter. Then the where would really be, where is that group already consuming media? Where are they going on their day-to-day, whether they're consuming media to make a purchase from, or it's just what interests them. We'll kind of get into this later, but humorous content is something that the millennial generation really looks into. So where are they finding that like release in terms of they're going to a platform to just embrace and enjoy content? And then we're also thinking about the why. So the why is, why are they on those platforms? Why are they making decisions on those platforms? Why are they posting on those platforms? Millennials, as you can see, are on multiple platforms. So for Facebook, they might be on there just to be able to enjoy some content, humorous content, to embrace their family's content, as well as then make an educated purchase decision. Where YouTube, it's really like that long form educational content. They're really trying to learn about a product. They're really trying to get fully immersed into a product to make like an educated purchase decision. And then the how at ILIA is the influencer and how we're making that authentic story, creating that relationship. So we definitely think about them, one, for separate for each platform, but two, separate for each influencer as they're really bridging that gap to help us create that story.
Yeah, fascinating. The millennial, her mom, and her daughter. So we're going to be going like Gen X down to Gen Alpha, the scary.
Yep, I know.
Yeah. No offense to any Gen Alphas on the call. Not scary in that way, just like daunting. But that's fascinating. Thank you so much. And Tennille, on the creator side, how do you think about where to post specific content, like sponsored versus gifted, or just your regular day in the life content?
At this point, I have a hand in every platform. I do all the things. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I have a website, so we're still producing like a couple blogs a week. So I've got my hands doing a lot of things because I notice that people are consuming content in different ways and they have different, comfort levels, like where they want to be at. I always think some people are on their phone, some people are on their computers, some people are on a iPad kind of thing. So when it comes to posting content, obviously when I partner with brands, they lead where they want the content to be posted. And these days, my content is found on both TikTok and Instagram. Either it's Instagram Reel, syndicated to TikTok, or vice versa. And I feel like each platform has a different community voice. And so they're all TTL community, but it's different voices, it's different mindsets. And so for me, I do my own little data analysis, and it tells there's like an overlap, and I can see what each group likes, because you'll see the engagement, you'll see just the comments and all the things. And it's actually really fascinating. So I know for me, like right now, I'm trying to still discover my little TikTok voice. And it's because it's like, I just need to like cut loose a little more.
Yep.
And I haven't like really got there yet. But I do have a little TikTok community, and it's really sweet. They're actually really kind to me there. And my YouTube community is full of love, and Instagram is where I started. So it's just really interesting to see how content performs on each different platform. And so you got to like tailor the conversation. Is it more storytelling? Is it just like bam, 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 quick with just some text? I mean, for me, creatively, I'm thinking of all the different ways that I'm going to reach that individual. So it's pretty like complicated, but when you've been doing it a long time, it's just, you kind of like, okay, I know I'm going to do this here, I'm going to do this. And I just tailor that to the campaign brief. If it's a partnership, just trying to find the voice that's for that platform.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
Also sounds like a huge puzzle, and that it's probably terrifying when a new platform comes out and you're like, wait a minute, what is this? Who am I on this for? And so I think you sort of answered this in your response, and I'm guessing maybe you're going to say TikTok, but maybe not. Is there a platform that you're going to be leaning into more in 2024, or that you want to like experiment more with?
I definitely am still, like I said, I really want to crack that TikTok puzzle in half. Like, I just want to like find what is my thing. I just feel, because I am doing so many different categories, different platforms, I'm like, okay, I figured out YouTube, I've figured out Instagram. Now, Tennille, let's focus your energy. And I learned this from another creator. It's really hard as a creator to pivot from each thing all the time. Yeah. But if you can be strategic, get your Instagram where you want it, get your YouTube where you want it, get your TikTok where you want it. And then really tailor your content for each platform. And so that's definitely like my goal, is to just figure out my TikTok voice. And my team has been so supportive and like, you can do it. But it's just because I've always got so much going on that I'm like, oh man, now I gotta create another like unique thing just for TikTok. Yeah. So I'm getting there. I'm proud of the progress that I've made, but I just have a lot of room to grow, and that is fabulous.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. We learned from this that you don't sleep. So that's one key takeaway already.
Oh my goodness.
But I think what you said about TikTok, we've seen that bear out in the data time and again, that just like you said, being loose. And I think that like that's part of the just natural, a little less curated, et cetera. And it seems, that can be, I don't know. I don't envy the puzzle that you're trying to put together every day, but I know that you have some mastery. So you're clearly good at it.
All right. Yes, she's very good. And it's the same puzzle, I would say, also, on the brand side.
Yeah.
Every brand is always trying to figure out something new, a new platform, a new way to engage. So
we're such an astute comment. I bet what she just talked about with her like personal content creation strategy really mirrors how you're trying to find the right creators. Yeah, what a segue that we didn't even plan into content. Okay. So this is going to feel redundant now because we naturally went there, but we want to move on to the content you should be creating with your influencer partners. And it's not going to be a surprise, especially after what we just said, that short-term videos were ranked really high in terms of the type of content for millennials. But what is surprising, and Samantha hinted at this, is that, well, surprising to me, maybe not to the audience. I'm sure you all know more about this, but millennials are 13% more likely to rank funny and humorous content as the most engaging content than Gen Z consumers. Another stat that I was surprised by in the report. And Tennille, again to you, given how crowded the influencer space is, there are a lot of creators. It seems that now more than ever, you really have to kind of fight for your audience's attention. And I think you touched on this a bit, but how are you ensuring, like, when you do go to TikTok or when you're on Instagram or you have a, robust community, how are you ensuring that you stand out to your audience amongst all of those voices? And do you even think about trends? Like, are you trying to incorporate trends into your content, or are you like, no, that's not a trend for me? Curious how you think about that.
Well, with trends specifically, I think it's always fun to play with trends as long as it's a good fit for you and, authentically, like, would you lean into that trend? Like there's like this trend going on. It's kind of fading now, but styling versus wearing, or wearing versus styling, or, cold girl makeup or things like that. Like, it's kind of fun when you play around with those things, because you get to see everyone's different voice and how they want to bring this to life, right?
Yep.
But I also am an old school woman. I went to design school when I was 19. That's what my background is. It was architecture. And I remember being in class, like looking left and right, like, how do you create your own voice and things like that? Yeah. And so I learned very young in life that looking left and right can also trip you up. And a lot of times, to develop your own voice, you have to not do that. And you never know if what you do could be the next trend. If you're spending so much time looking at trends, then you're never kind of cultivating your own voice, and you never know what you do could inspire someone else to, like, pick it up, and others and others and others and so on. So dabbling in trends is fun, but also it's just so important to stay authentic to yourself and find your own voice, your own creative voice. But because I did that when I was much younger, applying that to what I do now is like, I know what I do.
Yeah.
So this is what I do. But if it's a trend, I'm still going to do what I do and apply that trend to it. Yeah. If it's something that feels good to me.
Put your stamp on it. I'm going to cry about what you just said. That was so deep. And I'm going to play it back for my daughter about, like, not looking left and right is not always the best way to find your own voice. That was beautiful.
No, it's a thing. You want to, you're with your peers, right? And you want to shine, but you're right. It's kind of saturated. Like, what makes you different from someone else? And so you want what your creativity, you want it to resonate. I'm like inspiration. Like that's like the whole thing for me. What I create, I want to inspire others. And so everything that I do, I'm going to circle back to that. Like, did I just create something that's uplifting and inspiring? Because that just fills me up, right? I don't know. It's a unique, it's like, sometimes I see trends and I'm like, do I try that one? And then sometimes I'm like, no, that's not me.
You have to trust your own filter, though, with those things, right? And it sounds like you have that down. Also, going back to the styling versus wearing, I like that trend. Sometimes I can't tell the difference. I'm confessing that here. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't understand what the difference is. But Samantha, for you, every day a new trend does emerge, and the perspective from a brand is a little bit different. So with ILIA, when you have such a strong brand identity and tone on social, how do you really determine if you should, to use a Gen Z phrase, chase or pass, a twist on a Gen Z phrase, on a trend? Do you have like a strategic framework that helps you decide if you're going to go after that trend, or how do you think about that?
Yeah, I would say honestly, Tennille, you gave a great segue into that. There's not one set roadmap on how to jump onto a trend or how to be a part of necessarily like a cultural moment. I think, as you mentioned, our brand identity at ILIA is a true key to our puzzle. It's something that no matter where a consumer is, they really can identify, oh, that's ILIA, that's an ILIA product. It's very universal across whatever platform, media, story we're telling. And as everyone knows, there are new beauty brands launching every single day. So almost on the flip side of what Tennille's experiencing, where new influencers and platforms are rising every day, there are new brands constantly, especially in the clean category, which we, hold precedent in. So thinking about how we're jumping on a trend, I think, again, as Tennille said, it really comes down to authenticity. It has to be something that aligns with our brand pillars, because if we're trying to jump on everything, we're again losing that unique tone of voice, that unique brand identity that we have worked so hard to create and protect. And then on top of that, I think anyone who's on the call, who's on the brand side, will understand it takes a village. It's a strategy. To jump on a trend, you really have to think the whole thing through. Not only does it align with your brand pillars and your brand core messaging or whatever's happening at the brand at that time, but it also, you want it to carry out in multiple different stages, whether that's a social post where we're jumping on the cold girl makeup trend, or whether that's, then linking into an email. I would say at ILIA, we also do a really great job of ensuring like our stories are 360. So it's truly a full-fledged strategy and a team effort when we're jumping on a trend. So when we're looking at that, we're really thinking about, does this align with our brand pillars? If so, what are the different channels we can push this trend on, and how can we make this align with our brand tone, our brand identity, while still jumping on it? So I would say we are selective, as any brand I think should be. With so many brands arising, you really do have to be picky to hold on to your special tone of voice and your special brand identity.
As a follow-up, are you ever like, oh, that would have been a good trend, but we're too late? Like, what is the window that you think about that being okay within? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think our team especially is very good at being nimble. We're, I think, learning more and more how to adapt and move quickly. TikTok really shook up every brand and taught every brand that you have to be fast and able to jump on trends. But then on top of that, trends always come back in a different form. So like cold girl makeup 3 months ago will now be, it's now like chocolate fall makeup. So it's like that hazel-y fall eyeshadow look. And it's different iteration of a similar trend. So there's always time, jump back on a trend. Like Tennille said, I think every brand is also trying to come up with their own trends. And what does like the ILIA trend look like to us? What is our way of still having our own brand identity while still also pushing forward like a fun trend, a narrative, etc. So it always circles back around. It's like a constant flowing ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure. And you touched on being nimble, which I think is so key there. And yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Because everyone who is here today is here, I'm assuming that you understand the value of influencer marketing. I hope so. But you might be running into difficulty with convincing your exec team. And we want to help you by letting you know that you can tell them that influencers really impact the entire marketing funnel. And sometimes I speak to executives who have a misunderstanding of that, but it's true. So 54% of millennials stated that they look to influencers for product recommendations. 62% of millennials feel that influencers' posts have some sway on their purchase decisions. And 57% said that they would try a different social platform altogether where you could engage them because of an influencer. So they can really, yes, they can impact sales, which, we all get that question a lot. Of course they can, but they can also impact where your brand is engaging with the right audience and creating awareness and creating preference. So Samantha, how do you and your team approach working with different types of creators to achieve different goals when you're thinking about this?
Yeah, absolutely. We work with all different creators in all different facets. As I mentioned, we're meeting our consumer on multiple different platforms. And within those platforms, there's different types of influencers. There's like the true educational YouTuber, the affiliate driving conversion sale partner. There is like your brand tone of voice partner. So we're diversifying like our portfolio as a full. We're always working with different types of creators, with different backgrounds, different skin type, age type, hair type, ethnicities, etc. And I think that's like a key to any marketing influencer funnel is you really have to be able to represent, your partners need to represent the overall funnel as well as then all the consumers that fit within there. But then on top of that, I would say it's really about an authentic partnership. Tennille's and I's relationship is like a true testament to this. It has to be an authentic relationship with the influencer themselves. And the influencer has to have an authentic relationship with the brand, the product, whatever it may be. That will come across with the best content on their channel. This is something that I don't think all brands think about, but I always think about this, and I've said this probably multiple times to Tennille, is the influencer always knows their audience best. As much research as a brand wants to do into their audience, into their consumer portfolio, the influencer will always hold that expert power in their niche. So you're really, as a brand, tapping into the influencer to tell, yes, your brand story, but also to like flow that out to their audience. So it has to be truly authentic for it to work. And you have to kind of do a little dance where it's a relationship that you're building where you're both telling a story together. And both sides have to really feel authentically in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about authenticity.
Yeah.
I feel like that will be a major thing that anyone would see throughout any of these questions or this entire conversation.
I agree. And yes, and the drumbeat of like all effective and impactful influencer marketing for sure. Tennille, from your side, when you're like by ILIA or any other brand, when you are given different requests, like are you thinking about content in different ways if you're looking to get a certain action for a brand? Like if you're trying to provide reach or awareness, do you think about content in a different way than if you're trying to drive engagement or like a sale?
I think for me, fundamentally, I'm always going to want to bring awareness. And so it really is very helpful when a brand tailors a brief to me specifically. Sometimes when I get a brief and it actually has embedded in it content that I've created, like, this is what we like about this. This is what we like about that. This, because we don't want to put influencers like in a box and not, and certainly if you've come to the place where you want to partner and actually pay someone to create content in collaboration with you, I feel like on the brand side, it's really, really helpful. And it tells me a lot about our partnership when I see specific details about the type of content that I create, because then I have a better awareness of what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. So maybe they are looking for a storytelling moment, or maybe they really just want like boom, 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 boom. Or do you understand? Yeah. And so, because I know like a boom, boom, boom is going to be more about like, ooh, I'm curious, maybe I'll click to buy. Yep. And versus, tell me, we want to know a little story about why you like this product and how does it feel on your skin. So this is to bring awareness to that product and to really show my passion for a product. And it can be very frustrating when I get like a generic brief and I'm just like, what? That doesn't make any sense to me. Totally. And so that's why Samantha talking about like my relationship with ILIA and with her, it's phenomenal. It feels so good when I can partner again and again on projects because I know that they know me. I don't know if that's making sense. Everyone knows what I love because I just can't shut up about what I love. But it's really helpful when on the brand side, they tell me specifically what they love about my work by, like I said, just put a little example of content that I've done. Just that extra step really shows me that this is a collaborative project. And that way, I don't know, we're both going to win when it's in that You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I want to add on to Tennille's point. I think whether it's like a brief or, maybe you as a brand don't send briefs to your creators and there's a different function you use. Tennille and I's relationship as with ILIA and any creator is really like an open dialogue. And I think brands need to think about that you're fitting as a brand into that influencer's world, into that influencer sphere. And if they have feedback on how you're trying to shove them into a box, you really need to have that like relationship as the foundation to be able to make it work. So whether that's recreating, a brief together, redesigning what the overall video is together, it really should be like a dialogue, no matter where you're meeting them in the funnel, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, whatever it is, you're really fitting into like that creator's world. So when we think about briefing in a creator, no matter what the end goal is, it's really like an open dialogue to make sure we're winning on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to add that the reason that people are really into TikTok is because people let their hair down. And even though it's like a sponsored thing, it doesn't feel so sponsored. And in order for that to happen, you cannot let the creators, or force the creators to say all these words or all these things that just sound like an ad. And frankly, I don't think people are really into it anymore. So there's just has to be this really nice balance of brand getting what they want and creators still sounding like themselves and still, the engagement's there. And, at the end of the day, it's really about the audience. So as long as, I don't know, those things have to align.
Incredibly insightful and astute. Sorry, Samantha, were you going to say something?
No, totally agree with you. I'm totally aligned.
I think a simple way to synthesize a lot of that is to not forget that it's a human to human relationship. So it's like the person from the brand, the person, and the creator who is a person. And what's that relationship look like? It's different than buying an ad in a magazine or something like that. And it has to be the humanity cannot be negated in that. And if it is, your audience can tell,
Yes.
Yeah.
So 100%.
This is fantastic. So I could talk to you both all day, but we do have to start to wrap up this conversation, though I feel like I'm going to be calling you to learn more later. But we want to do some takeaways. So at Tracker, we're always advising our brands to really strive for diversity in their influencer programs. And that has come up many times in this conversation, diversity in platforms and the types of creators that you're working with and the trends that you embrace. But it's really critical for ensuring as a brand that you don't fall into the fallacy of like committing to one type of partner, platform, strategy, et cetera, to the exclusion of the whole world around you. And diversity is a very powerful thing. It provides flexibility and it really helps you identify what really resonates with your intended audience. Some people still say in 2023 that it's difficult to find diverse influencers, but that is not true anymore. It's not true. If you're still struggling with that, please call me. We have one of the best influencer discovery and vetting tools on the market, and there is a wide array of diversity in influencers, in ethnicity, in age, in sexuality, in anything that you could want in terms of an influencer partnership. So it really needs to match your intended audience, and diversity is essential. Creators impact how consumers engage online. And I think that we have really just talked to this with a beautiful bow wrapped around it. But we really need to emphasize the partner in partnerships, like that this is a human being that you're partnering with. And you're more likely as a brand to stand out to influencers if you are recognizing them as a human. You're focusing on long-term partnerships, as beautifully exemplified here in this relationship, creative campaigns, out-of-the-box collaborations that go beyond traditional sponsored content or the generic brief. So who's this human on the other end of the line that I'm talking to? And that partner part is key. So next, let's talk about how we're going to shape our strategy for 2024. I'm not going to ask you to like all of your secrets, but I am curious because both of you are so smart and insightful on these topics, where you feel like the industry is going next. And is there anything that you're afraid of or excited for? It's a big question. Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
Yeah, you go. You go.
I would say the influencer landscape as a whole has changed and flipped on its head every single year. I feel like there's either a new product launching, a new platform launching, et cetera. But I think in the past 6-7 months, we're really seeing brands have always leaned into influencer. For the past 2.5 years, brands have used influencer marketing as a tool to share their stories and connect with their audiences. But I think for the first time ever, we're seeing platforms be influencer first. And we're seeing that with TikTok Shop, TikTok affiliate networks. When Instagram Shop launched, it really went into like brand first beta and getting brands on the platform, getting brands comfortable. And I think TikTok was really the first time that we're seeing a platform itself utilizing influencers and thinking of that relationship first. I think the funnel used to kind of go like the influencer was using the platform and then the brand would tack on at the end to that. And now that whole funnel is flipping again. So I think that we're going to have to start to think as on the brand side of how we tap into these platforms that are influencer first. And that'll be a very different strategy, whether that's how we go into influencer first and then into shop, influencer first, into spreading brand awareness, whatever that end goal looks like. But platforms are getting smarter and smarter. So brands need to get smarter and smarter. That's one thing I'm really excited for. I think it'll change how we look at influencer marketing and how brands, reach their consumers. But it also is probably like the flip of the coin, maybe a little bit of the thing I'm also a little worried about. I do think we talked about this a ton in this conversation, but especially at ILIA or any brand that is in a quote unquote cluttered space where there's brands launching every day or new trends happening, brand identity and tone of voice is really key. So as a brand, we're going to have to start to think about how we put our brand identity on these influencer first platforms and still hold like a stake in the sand and have a strategy around it. So I think, again, we're entering into a whole new wave of influencer and influencer platforms specifically. And both brands and influencers are really going to have to get smart about it.
Yeah. The constant is change in this space, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. For the 5 years that I have done this, there has never been one thing that I know that is going to always be for sure. It is constantly changing.
You said for the past 2.5 years, brands have really embraced influencers, and I've been working in this space for 10 years. And I'm like, you have felt a step change, definitely more recently. So I agree with you, but I was also like, wow, I've been at this for a long time.
No, I'm the same. I feel like there was like a change where it was for so long. There was, the forward thinker brands that were already in influencer marketing 100 years ago. And then all of a sudden, like with the rise of TikTok and Instagram Reels and all of the platform changes, brands started to be like, oh, this is something that really works and helps us tell our story and hop on that. And now we have this whole new wave of influencer first platforms, which will then result in a bigger change, I think, on all fronts.
Totally. It went from a nice to have to an absolutely essential because of the power of people like Tennille who have really just changed the game. And there's no brand like that's at all worth its salt that would say, oh, influencers don't matter, yeah. Tennille, what about you? Anything you're excited for or scared of for next year?
I've lived long enough to know one thing. Everything comes full circle, and I feel like maybe things are going to go back to letting the influencer voice be the leader, because what I'm seeing now is sometimes it's just so like scripted and people skip commercials, right? So we don't want to do that to like influencers. We want their personalities to shine and their sense of like self to be like, I don't know, let the product and the person, I don't know, have the synergy, and it just will come off the camera in a way that's engaging and all of that. So I really hope that it becomes that so I don't know, I'm excited to see if that happens, but there's a couple things that I'm kind of nervous about. I'm always nervous about a new platform coming on board because it's just like, no, I only have 2 hands and I'm literally got 10 hands already in so many different things. So that would be, I'm a little afraid of that. And I guess I'm kind of curious to see how AI kind of influences influencers or social media, or I don't know. I think that there's something going to happen with that. But more importantly, it's all about pivoting, being open, and willingness to learn whatever does happen. But no 2 days are the same, which is how I like it. I like the variety, but I'm here for whatever. I'm here to learn and grow and just be a part of it, and any way I can. So
Love
that's
it.
good. That open mindset is important. Thank you so much. We're not quite done yet because I just clicked on the questions from the audience and there's a million. So I'm trying to choose a few. It says, do you have any tips or tricks for creating a successful TikTok on a brand's profile?
That is very interesting. I think it's a balance, as everything we've said, I feel like this whole time, but it's truly a balance of keeping your brand identity and the thing that your audience will see and recognize as, oh, that's ILIA, whether that's you're having a product as that main stream of consciousness, or it's a story that everyone recognizes as ILIA, while also, as Tennille said, kind of letting your hair down and letting either the brand tone of voice be a little looser, or letting the influencer you're partnering with kind of take that narrative and put it into their own words. It's definitely a balance, but I would say TikTok, like any platform, is just as cluttered as the rest. And to cut through the noise, you have to think about being nimble, authentic, and also keeping that piece of your brand identity in there, which I find on TikTok a lot of brands might struggle with. But cutting through the noise, I would say, is as simple as finding that one unique part of your brand voice that can cut through, whether that's the one product you need for all 3 steps in the morning, or the one blush you need for XYZ. So it's those quick sound bites that someone can really tack onto as a consumer when they're scrolling through 2,000 3-second videos. What is the thing that's going to pull them out? And they're going to be like, oh, that's ILIA. And oh, that's something I desire, need, want to be a part of, etc.
That is a great tip. It's very specific and actionable. Thank you for answering that. I am now going to ask, just because I'm really curious about this one and I get to choose the questions. This is for Tennille. Tennille, outside of beauty, what are your dream partnerships?
Well, before I was a full-time content creator, I used to be a flight attendant on a private jet, and I used to travel all over the world. And I did that for a decade, and some of it was concurrently as a content creator. And so I think my biggest dream would be to partner with a hotel brand and have it be like an ongoing thing, like Tennille's in this city or Tennille's in that city.
Oh, I have ideas for you. That's cool.
It's what I used to do.
Yeah.
It's what I used to do, except, I'm not on my boss's jet anymore. So I need to find another way to make that dream a reality. So that's literally tippity top for me.
Can you stay on for another hour and talk about your stories from the jet, please?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have so many stories.
I bet.
So many stories.
Oh, I mean, I would watch that. Let's think of an alliterative name for what town is Tennille in today?
Totally. I'm like, what is the reality TV show name?
Yes.
Exactly. And that's I seriously think it would be such a rich opportunity to then, when I used to do it, to show skincare for flight attendant, what are you wearing, all the things. It's so much richness there for content. Just being in a new city. Anyway, one day.
How do you wear those heels for a 9-hour flight? That's my question. Okay, and one more that's a little bit more practical. Do your campaign briefs change if you're thinking about Gen Z influencers to millennial influencers?
Yeah, I would say honestly, it's even more nitty gritty than that. Within the Gen Z demographic, there are so many different types of people, niches of people, different influencers. Same with millennials. So I wouldn't even say that it's that broad. We would change it, based off whatever story we're telling, whether that's around a product launch or cultural moment, etc. But then we also, as Tennille said, it's really like a partnership with each influencer. So we're even editing it and working together collaboratively on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah.
So within those two demographics, they might have different goals for their content. Their content might live in different places with our influencer partnerships, but we're very, very detail oriented and really want to make sure like both sides are feeling great. That's going to lead to the best success. So it's even more detailed and minute.
Yeah, totally. Tennille mentioned loving like examples of content in briefs. And to me, that sounds like being seen, but with some specificity. So like, we like you because of this content like this. I'm curious, do you find that Gen Z wants less? I mean, it's maybe painting with too broad of a brush, but like, are they less in need of specific and want something open, and millennials want more specific direction? Or is that a false assumption?
I would say yes, in general. I mean, that is, again, like a generality for those two very diverse groups. I would say even more so, it's more about we're again meeting that influencer halfway. So I'm not trying to take an influencer who's really successful on TikTok and shove them into a box and put them on YouTube. Yeah. So when we're meeting them on that platform, I would say it's even more about our briefs are designed also around like platform. So we're thinking like 1, that influencer's type of content, 2, the consumer they're trying to reach, and then 3, like what is working there, what is comfortable for them there, what story are we trying to tell there. So again, as I mentioned, like YouTube might be a little bit more like educational long form, or TikTok, we're cutting through the noise, or Facebook and Instagram is like maybe a little bit more aspirational. That's just like hypothetically, that'll get like the tone of voice going that influencer would receive in their brief.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for any brand, whether you're in home care or like selling clothes, whatever brand you are, your different audiences are going to need different things, want to hear different things, have a different way of consuming that story. So when you're using your, influencer partner as your main message to tell a story, you have to think about it all separately.
That's a great exclamation point. Now we're going to get to the moment that many of you have been waiting for, I'm sure. Please use the QR code on your screen, or there's a link in the chat, and you can enter our ILIA product raffle, and we will contact 3 lucky winners. Thank you, Samantha and ILIA, for this generosity to get their prize. Can we please give an enormous thank you to our wonderful panelists, Tennille and Samantha. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was really a lot of fun. I love talking to you both, and I learned so much. You can find them on social, and you should connect with them, and you should follow ILIA and follow Tennille. So you can get great content and learn a little bit more, about suss out what the strategy might be and how that authentic partnership really comes to life. But thank you to everyone on the call for taking the time to join us today. If you want to learn more about our 2024 impact report, you can find it in the docs section, again, on the right-hand side of your screen, and also on tracker.com. We're going to be hosting another event on December 5th with Alana Martyr from ColourPop Cosmetics, and that's going to be focused on Gen Z. You can RSVP in the media section on your screen. And if you want to learn more about Tracker, you can talk to me, you can schedule the demo or email me, and I am happy to talk through any of your questions. Maybe I could even, call Samantha or Tennille on your behalf and say there's
absolutely
that they need to have answered. But my sincere thank you to both of you. It's really been such a pleasure to do this with you. I appreciate your time and your commitment to educating your peers and audience in this space. So thank you so much. And
thank you.
Thank you. This was
thank you, everyone. This was perfect. Yes. No, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so honored to be here, and thank you, Tennille, for joining me. And this has been really great and just a very nice conversation. So I hope everyone gets to take away a little bit of learning.
Me too. I am certain that they did. I certainly did. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks to everyone for coming. We really appreciate it.